and keep us so distracted, so argumentative. Every little thing sets us off. I don't care what it is in our relationships, friendships, at work.
Welcome to Truth versus Authority. I'm Roderick Martin, aka The Symbolizer, TV personality, UFO investigator, award-winning podcast host, backed by Truth Seeker, streaming right here on YouTube and reaching thousands of podcast listeners across 126 countries worldwide. Thank you for all the love and support. I'll keep bringing the truth. Get ready, because what you're about to hear, you may not believe it.
Today, we're going to be talking about the blatant Luciferian symbolism in Justin Timberlake's No Angels. Although this came out quite some time ago, but I think it's real relevant to what needs to be talked about today with what is happening in real time as we're beginning to go into these new cycles of life, I should say. One of the things that we're going to get into is the symbolism of all of this and why the satanic worshiping and all of these things is at a all-time high. And it's important that people understand that. One of the things here, I've studied this industry for years. And the deeper I go, the clearer it becomes that this isn't music that we're seeing. It's a ritual. This isn't performance that we're starting to see. It's possession. When you look at Justin Timberlake return, it wasn't a comeback. It was a coded offering. And we're going to go over that today within this video. Now, the question may be, to what? Certainly not fame, but something much older and far more dangerous is what we're going to point out today or whatever. But one of the things I want you to probably ask yourself, wait a minute, Roderick, Timberlake is part of this too. Yes, if you go back to the beginning when him and Britney Spears and all them, they was part of the Mickey Mouse Club, which was a child star factory that groomed numerous celebrities for the entertainment industry. So he's not something new to him. This is something that he's been part of for quite some time. But we've been told that No Angels is just a dark artistic project. They say it all the time. They come out and they may go, well, this is just a production. It's nothing to see here, folks. They've been lying to us all the time. However, we'll get into it. This was a moody return to form, a pop comeback for an aging star. Because, he was really falling out the limelight. He's past his time. Of course, we all seen him when we were little kids, or he's younger than I am. So a lot of people grew up with him and Britney Spears, once again, in the Mickey Mouse Club. But they also was playing with abstract visuals. This is something important there. And that's just the surface, but it really was camouflage. Now, let's get into a couple of these things, what I call shield of anesthetics, and so that people can kind of take a closer look at what I'm talking about. Timberlake has handlers, just like all of these people. They have controllers and handlers that handle their career. But they also look at that this was a dark, glossy production with ambiguous anesthetics, if you really look at this. And once you go back to the younger years of him and Britney, you would have never thought today, being part of the Mickey Mouse Club, that now they're a part of the satanic club worshiping, all in plain sight. And that is something for you to think about. But the symbolism isn't hidden. It's a mood. They painted a certain mood when we take a look. I have a lot of photos that we're going to go over and take a look, but it also had an ambiguous meaning, allowing plausible deniability. So if it got out and went the wrong way in the culture, then they can turn around and say, oh, this was just a stunt, or it was just a video. It was just us having his artistic creations to manifest itself. They was already prepared for that. However, we see it. We understand what is really going on. This is a classic elite tactic that hide the rituals in plain sight, and they call it a performance. But let me set the stage here for a second, real quickly. When you start thinking about it, you want to think about some of the things that we see. So we will take this First of all, I've always showed you what I call this triangle. In this triangle is broken up into three sections. You have the overlords, which are deities, parasitic entities that are out there that exist. And you're going to find out as we go further in today's show that this is what this was all about. Then you have what I call the rulers. These are the Masonic, these are the government, these are the elites, the billionaires and rich and people that are I call. And then you have where Timberlake falls in these places, the minions, and then of course the control. This is how they're controlling people. So everything is going to be based in that particular area. No Angels is a open Luciferian initiation ritual. And let me say it again, it is a Luciferian ritual that they did in plain sight. And if you start paying close attention, because of the time and where we are, this is starting to happen a lot of times. This is going on in plain sight. And there's nothing vague about it. The symbols are ancient and they are placed in what I call surgical precision that you're going to already see here. I'm going to show you that this is not art. It's a coded message to occult hierarchy. Reason I bring this up, the reason I put these type of information out here, because oftentimes we don't really understand why we feel the way we feel or the things that are going on in our lives where the negativity, the energy, all these things are happening at certain times. Once you begin to see the signs and once you see it, you can't unsee it, but it's really helpful for you to understand that this whole construct, this whole system actually has a plan with it. So let me kind of show you one of the photos that I have here, and we'll get into a little more of them real quickly here for a second. Let me find one. This one in particular starts it out. Just take a real close look at this one. And I want you to take a pause and really look at this image as I go through. Justin centered beneath a red arch with cross geometry. Just kind of look where they position him for this. And this isn't accidental. This is invocation of architect. I want you to know that the archways are symbolic of a gateway to the underworld, the mirroring, the Babylonian temple entrances. Now, when you look at the cross formation that's behind him, it mimics the mock crucifixion, the way it's set up. It's a Luciferian inversion. That's how they roll. And the central positions frame and how they put him in place, Timberlake is as a chosen vessel, aligning him with occult hierarchies. And that's something that you want to look at, because here's the catch. Occult initiations often begin with passage of threshold, arches, portals, or doorways. This is how they put this out here. And one of the things you want to think about it, this is a symbolic consent. The artist stands as an offering to the force that he serves. So he's really saying, I serve Lucifer. This is what he's saying. And the way they position it is him saying, this is who I serve, and I want you to put this out there in plain sight, so to speak, right? And when we go further, there's going to be some other stuff that's going to just blow you away when you see this. The question is, and I've always told you, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. It's not about what they're doing and how they do it. It's not how this video was put out there. It's always why. And if you don't think it is putting control factors out there, if you don't think that the children and people who are watching it is coming under some type of control or what I call the obedience code, then think again. We're going to talk about that because that's what all of our stuff leads to. Who is controlling out here and why? And I've always said with truth versus authority, it's the mind. They're after the mind, because if they can control the mind, which is the most powerful thing put together in a human itself, then they can control anything. And this is what they're always after. Now, once again, the Timberlake's positioning is a Masonic ritual symmetry. That's how they do it. I'll put it back up real quickly. This is what you're seeing. And it's always centered aligned, always flanked by the dual pillars or geometric patterns. You're going to always see pillars everywhere, even in Masonic pictures. No matter where you look, just take a look. You will see these pillars everywhere you go when they're doing this. And it's all symbolic. They just do it right there in plain sight. We may just think it's some building architect. That is not what's happening when it comes down to this. Another part, if you think about it, is they even had a picture of this particular person in here. Now, really think about this. This was his date that turned into Lucifer, aka the fallen angels. Now, just really take a look at what you're seeing. This is more than just a costume. You're looking at a signature rebellion. This isn't an angel. This is Lucifer in what I call glam, right? Of course, it won't be a guy seducing him, so Lucifer is going to be a woman. And you want to think about it. These wings are not heavenly. They're kind of blackish. They're styled to mimic the fallen syrup. This symbolizes Lucifer's descent and the archetype of the rebellion and self-defecation. Wearing the wings mean that this initiate accepts the inversion of the divine order. And what it's saying is, Justin is saying, I accept the Luciferian Lucifer. I accept it. And you want to ask yourself again, why would he at this time in his life do a video, which was, like I say, is look quite some time ago, about a year. Well, why would he put this out at the time and where we're going now? It's really important for you to really think about that in the process and where he is in his life, his career, and where he comes from, the factory of the Mickey Mouse Club. And you want to think about that across the board. Now, at this point, things really get interesting because the title alone, Manifesto, No Angels, No Divine Guidance, No Higher Law, is what they're really saying in plain sight to people. No angels. And what do most people pray to? And what do most people feel that is watching over them? Divine angels or my guardian angels. But he's saying there's no angels. Literally saying there's no angels. There's no divine guidance. There's no higher law than where we are with this, with Lucifer or Luciferian studying. And he put that right there. And our children are watching this, your children, and many adults and older adults, and the programming continues when it go. Every frame in that video was built toward spiritual decoration. We serve no God but ourselves is the meaning that they was putting in this particular video. And I want to point this out because this is where we go. Yeah, it all ties all the way back to the elites, the people that's programming, the people that handles the music industry, who they go to, then all of a sudden who they are serving, which goes all the ways up to these deities. And we've said it many, many times. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's my job, is to bring you enough of this as the symbolizer so that you begin to see, because you all know my DNA. You know, I started out with aliens and UFOs, and as interesting that could be, then it becomes more than that. It became more than that. It became something much higher that most people are not looking beyond the blue sky or some unidentified flying object flying around. This is where I think that I didn't want to get stuck at as I became more and more a truth seeker. And as I've always told you, if you're going to be becoming a truth seeker, you got to go to these areas, because when you look at Justin Timberlake's thing, this mirrors ideal of becoming God through ritualized rejection of higher authority. That is plain simple. This is how they do it. I've seen some of the questions that they would ask people. I've seen some of the videos. And even at some point, the whole point is one of their tests was, do you still, and I don't think it was wrong. Do you still believe in Jesus Christ or God or however your God is? It was always part of their ritual test. But the bottom line was becoming God through ritualized rejection of higher authority. And once a person can do that, they figure we got you, and this is where we are. Why does this matter? I know a lot of people are like, well, Roderick, why would this even matter? Well, I'm glad you asked, because if this is true, then the pop industry isn't about fame. We think it's about fame. It's about initiations. That's plain and simple. If it's true, then your children are not watching music. They're absorbing these rituals. They're absorbing in the subconscious the new power that is going to take over them. And yet we allow them to see these things. And if it's true, then every stage, every spotlight, every comeback, which is what we see in these, is a ceremony. Just like you see Madonna, which we'll go over in one of her shows, and some of the people that we talk about when it comes down to the symbolism. And it's about mass exposure. It's about mass consent is what it is. You might be asking, how do we consent? So here's what happens next. This is what I want you to know so that you understand what is happening as well. The audience becomes the witness to these things when we watch these satanic rituals and that's disguised as artistic art. We are witnessing it with our eyes. Remember, your eyes are useless when the mind is blind. They know this. And the participant through subconscious absorption, we're absorbing the symbolic stuff, because you got to remember, symbols rule before language. Symbol is inherent in every human species on this planet that are really, if you want to understand your divine, understand symbolism. From the basic circle to the triangle to the fire sign, you know, the male, whatever you want to call it. But it's symbolic because there was no language for the world at a time when it was created, so to speak, right? But over time, they were able to create symbolism. And that is one of the things. Now, Timberlake's comeback is timed, it's coded, and it's global. And forgive me, but the spell works through a scale. That's me rhyming here. This isn't a performance, it's a participation. So I want you to really think about this as we go further, that you think it was just a visual theme like most people do, then you want to wait until I show you a couple of these things more, because I got more to show as we go further. In fact, the next phase of what we're doing isn't so subtle. It's a possession sequence, and it's all encoded. Tune in for our latest podcast release, The Bloodlines Behind the Altars, Reptilian Control and Monarch Programming. Now, this isn't about mind control. It's about spiritual occupancy, reptilian agenda, along with the deities and the puppet masters. Then this podcast segment is for you. Find our podcast, Truth versus Authority, where you enjoy your podcast. If you thought those wings that I showed you, and let me put them back up here for you, and if you saw the video, if you thought these wings were just fashion, and you thought the art was just designed that he was sitting in front of, then that was the doorway. In fact, let me go back to it right here. That was the doorway that he was standing in front of when it all began. And if you go back and look at the video itself, and there's another part of that right there. But it's all design. It's all design. You now are inside what I call the ritual, number one. You're inside this ritual. And then number two, I would say the next sequence is going to be the possession phase. So let me go there. Thank you all for the support. Appreciate your brother. And we'll do that. Y'all give a shout out to the support. In fact, I will put that banner up on the screen. If you find any value, then this is a community funded show. So you can support the show through the cash out, which is at the bottom of the screen. Now, this is bigger than what I thought. And I know y'all might be saying, well, Roderick, why would you say that? We're not just watching a video when you see this. And even when you watch Beyonce, even when you watch these other ones, this is not just videos anymore. Why do people do that? Why people think you see the new Beyonce video? No. Did you see the new Beyonce spell on subconscious minds of these people that are watching this is the question that we should say. One of the biggest things that I know that happens, especially in the woke community, and I'm sorry, is that we have surpassed the point that we think we are awakened, that their plans of subtle obedience coding us is not, or is non-existent. That's not true. And it's not something that we are going to recognize all the time openly, because it had been done since we were children. Now, I have a new show, a new podcast that I'm uploading tomorrow. It's an audio, so you won't find it here on YouTube, but you can find it anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can find it on, iTunes. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on iHeartRadio, and the list goes on. And it's about Disney and the reptilian connection. Yes, I'm going to be talking about that, but it'll be on the audio podcast. So look for Truth versus Authority, and you won't be disappointed when you see those things. I promise you that pretty much. All right. Thank you for another contribution. I appreciate it, because it is a funded place. I just want y'all to know this is what we do. All right, so let's keep going. What else is hidden in plain sight? I call it the comfortable lie. That's how they roll. They have a comfortable lie that they put in front of us. See, we've been told that the mask and the music videos are just visual metaphors, and that the dancers, y'all know how it is, shaking it. Yeah, I got a little move, I can do it. That there is just choreography, oh man, they got some good old moves. I was just looking at one of these other girls who I watched, these little girls, Chloe and the other one that sung the Beyonce songs. I found one on YouTube when they was young. And when you look at them when they was young now and what they do, especially the oldest one, shoot, the darkness is just the vibe. That's what it is. This next part is where most people mess up when they don't really understand this, because what happens, the viewers are conditioned to see symbols as styles rather than invocation. It's like mistakenly identity, period. It's just a mistake. Mask, you have shadows, you have distortion of, now is common in pop culture, but it's rooted in what I call initiation ceremonies. We need to look at that. I just did a video. We was talking about Young Thug a while back and the goat ceremony. And of course, you got to know the goat is connected to Baphomet. You have to know these things, right? And if you don't, that's fine. People, we're under attack. We've been under attack. The problem is it was going unnoticed. That's how good it is. And when you notice it, you can't unsee it. And this is where the rebellion takes place, because they never been hiding. The Illuminati never has been hiding. The tactics never been hidden. Baphomet stuff never has been hidden. The symbols are sitting in plain sight everywhere. When you're driving, you start looking at the corporations, all the people who are paying homage, CBS, the All-Seeing Eye, they're right there. They're all saying who they are, who they represent, what they do. It is the undereducation of us who, because of the system, keeps us, our vibration so low and keep us so distracted, so argumentative. Every little thing sets us off. I don't care what it is in our relationships, friendships, at work, whatever. It's just, we're just so ticked off. We're heightened so much. The other day, I woke up pissed off about something. I'm like, how do you wake up pissed off, Roderick? I had to ask myself, how do you wake up pissed? Obviously, you was pissed off in your dream. And I told people about that dream. But anyway, you wake up pissed off? Way to start the day. And they're doing this. I want you to understand that the public desensitized this mechanics of these rituals, which gives the elites a path to escalate. This is why they can, because nobody's saying it. They just keep going and going and going and going. Let me give you another photo. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. It's very interesting. And I wish we could show actual videos, but we can't. Not this one. It will be, which photo? It will be this one right here. Okay. This is, you can barely see it, but if you really pay close attention to this, The dancers are all in black mask and they're forming a circle down there. And this is not choreographic or what I call choreographic or whatever. This is a containment. Justin was at one of these scenes back in this was kind of in circle. And this was a structure of what I call a possession ring. Now, you look at this form from a different angle, you will understand that a lot of these figures that they have in here, the black mask figures that you will see, so you want to go back and watch this video, is what they call symbolic gatekeepers. Now, this is common in esoteric possession rites. You can go back to Symbolism, the cults of that. You can go back to all the way back to, I think it's the Estonian type occult. Go back and look at those things. You will see that the circle, and this is why when we make our sigils, our protection sigils, we use the circle as well, because you want to make sure that you keep things out and you want to keep the good stuff in. And this is one of the things. So the circle, as you saw in our protection symbol, is what I call the containment field. It's a zone where transformation occurs. Now, oftentimes they're going to put the spell, they're going to put it around you to trap your souls, but also in sigils and things, you can create this to protect yourself as you're going to do this. Now, the one in the center, why Timberlake was in the center of this in this video is because he became what we call a vessel to Luciferian. And this is what we will say is Luciferian theater disguised as art. That's what they want to say. And once again, it's internalization of the initiation process. We are seeing this now because he's probably, and this is just me now, and we really see the satanic stuff get when they're a certain age, whether either the career is not going the way it is, and someone says, if you want your career back, if you want all of that fame and stuff that you had that we gave you the first time, the next stage, because you're getting older, meaning your transitional time is probably coming some years down the road, you now got to give the soul up, brother, sister, cousin, whoever. The rituals are happening. This is why when you pay a close attention, some of the older entertainers, now we got some young ones now, Little Lid, Lies, or whatever the dude is with the snake shoes, and they ain't wasting no time. The age group. But you're going to see the transition initiation for some of the older people. And here's the reason why this matters, because this thing signifies the lost identity, and that are used in what we call the mysterious cults that suppress the ego from demonic invocation. It's all demonic. It's all demonic. Now, I'm not saying that I don't know, because I don't know enough demons to know if they all are bad anyway. But there are some people who might say there's some good demons out there and there's some bad demons. I haven't really, got to know any of them enough to be saying that, but I would hope to sure, just as bad, that just because whatever it is. Let me get out of that a little bit, but I'm sure some of y'all can answer that question in the chat. Are all demons bad or some of them are good when we get down to it? The identical mask signals the dancers are empty vessels. And wait till I show you a couple of more of these photos. This is getting ready to get even worse if you haven't seen this video. Just stick around, because I'm getting ready to claw right into this even more. And once again, some of this stuff our children are watching. Some of this stuff our children are doing dance rituals to. Right in our face. And Timberlake enters the middle of this formation just before the music and the lighting shift, which is what I call a symbolic merger moment. So I have some more photos. Let me get to those. And this is one that we want to call it the glitch. And here's something I want you to look at, this one real close. This was a scene where JT stands under the devil spewing blood. Now, he's not happy at the moment. The fact that the blood is all over his face, of course, like the thing here says, his pearl necklace, he don't care, but just understand the gravity of this situation that we're talking about here. Now you see the glitch, because see, this is where the possession is complete. The real Justin is being overwritten, and you're watching this in real time if you're watching the video. And here's what you might not expect. See, the face distortion is symbolic of what we call a soul fracture. This is common practice in the monarch programming. It's common practice in the monarch programming that they fracture the soul. We talk about that a lot here, right? Especially lately. But look at it again. It breaks down. Now you can find this, Springmeyer talks about it, but this is what we call visual distortion equal spiritual fracturing. And it's how they show the old self being deleted, often paired with sound glitches, static, sudden flashes, mimicking ritual dissociation. When you start seeing this, you can't unsee it. You're going to see it in a lot of videos. Yeah, we got Kanye West. I think he did, somebody sent me, I got to watch an interview he did a couple of days ago. All of this stuff is just wide open. And it's hard to understand that in most cases, all of these people that we are seeing are placed there and put there to create this divine, I'm not calling it that in meaning, but this control obedience situation by the puppet masters that are out there, and who the puppet masters are ruled by something more insidious above them. Now, here's what you may not expect when you think about it. The face distortion is symbolic of the soul fracture, which I said that, but let's take this a little further. See, when you think about Luciferian logic, the stage is the altar. This is why we see the rituals that they do is always on stage. That's the actual altar that they have put together. That's why some of them so meticulously are designed to look like altars. Go back, think about a lot of the Queen Bee stuff. Now, in his case, I want to make sure there's a distinction that there's a difference. Because he's being initiated in this particular video, this is all staged around for him. But when we see these things that somebody who we already know has been there, done that, then they're trying to do it to us. They're trying to normalize it. So when the time comes, or whatever the beliefs that they believe, then the programming is already there, period. So, and let me make this perfectly clear. The stage is the altar, and the audience, let me say it, let me slow down, is the energy source. We've always talked about the energy, the loosh, they feed off of us. When that, we remember the Travis, I forget the Scott, when he did the thing down in Houston. We'll talk about that someday. If you remember, his whole stage was a demonic portal for your soul to come through, and people will just, memorized by it and paid homage to it. Every frame of distortion, they alter the subconscious is what it does. They do it. They begin to mimic dissociation without even realizing it. And this is how the elite pop stars are spiritual conductors to pass the infection into the culture. They figure that part out. They figure if we are able to put this into, how do we get it into the culture? How do we place our spells into culture? Well, let's get them to accept this weirdo as artistic expression. We hear it all the time. Some things we all look at and be like, I can't believe they did that crazy stuff. But they're artistic. Oh, maybe they're free. Oh, they're authentic. It's the word we use in the wake community. Being your authentic selves. Are they really being authentic? And is that authentic to you too? Because if you accept that being authentic, then it's working. Now, I'm not saying that any of us should be walking around trying to be, we know that's a problem. Yeah, right? We just need to protect the energy source, which is us. Why should you worry about this? Because if this is true, Then No Angel Videos was made to get your attention. It wasn't made to entertain you at all. It was built to program you. It was built to program me. It was built to program all of us. And the real subject had nothing to do with Timberlake. It's you. It's me. It's our children. It's people that's watching. They're after us through him. He's just a vessel. But you are the target. I'm the target. Our children are the target. Because if we can raise a kid up to think away while he's young, and if you don't think that's enough, go all the way back to this photo. Him. Now, 50% would be a good old number that half of these two people in the video didn't go bananas. That's 50%. But 100% of everybody who was part of the Mickey Mouse Club, there was more than just them two, all had issues. In fact, their issues got issues when it comes down to this. What I want you to understand is that we're going to dig just a little deeper here. By watching passively, the audience participate energetically in the ritual. Just know that that's what's going on, and know that the symbols and rhythms become psychological anchors, trauma-based anchors. You don't think blood, seeing blood and all this? Let me show you the pictures next. However, this is just what I call a elite soft code Luciferian theology, which goes into society, which we got repetition, spectacles, and ultimately silence, because ain't nobody saying nothing about it in a big way. Why is that? Do we not care, or do we not understand, or are we programmed to accept? That'll be one of the choices. It has to be, correct? You've seen the gate. You've seen the possessions out there. We've seen it in real time. But now the real rituals, the blood, the sacrifice submissions, are the final act of mockery. And it's really bold the way they're doing it now. And you'll never hear it like this. You're never going to hear that, from them at least, that they care enough to say these things. Now, what we're going to get into is no angels, no innocent, no free will, no more denial when it comes down to this. And that we're going to talk about the evasion and the real things that we need to be looking at as I show you 5 or 6 final photos here. And I can go into it, and I'm going to put a particular photo up that'll take us into another part of this journey here. And let me lead this one up for a moment. Just stare at that one for a minute. See, everything we uncovered so far has been leading to this particular moment as well. Because the mask wasn't just the climax. The wings that we saw earlier wasn't just the message. And the ones you're looking at now. The final sequence is summoning. It's not just occult, it's public. It's not hidden anymore. They're not even hiding this. The Luciferian disclosure, and the only question left is, are you watching or are you worshiping? That's the question. Now, I know you might be saying, well, Roderick, they really put this in mainstream video? Absolutely, it's in mainstream video. Yep, they do mock everything sacred. And the question will be for us to ask, what is this doing to people? What is it doing to people? I'm going to put this photo back up, and I'm going to walk you through something. I want you all to look at it very closely as I put it up. This is part of this video. This is probably one of the most sacred part of the video, even though it looks simplicity as it is. I watched these things enough. I've been studying symbolism enough to file a trademark as a symbolizer, right? But I want to walk you through this process. And when you see it, pay attention to this clip, this little video, this picture, and I'm going to break it down. It looks as simple as it is, but I want to break you down what you're seeing. And remember, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. Your mind is not blind, so your eyes is getting ready to work here, all right? This next part is going to surprise you. See, this is where it gets disturbing. You see that trail of blood drawing downward across the chest, right where the heart center is? Y'all see that, right? Look again. That trail of blood that's drawn downward across the chest, right in the center. This is a ritual mockery of the sacred heart. It's a perversion of the sacrifice. Not divine blood, but ego blood is what it's called. That's how they do it. It symbolizes self-sacrifice, not for others, for the dark empowerment. It really does. In fact, it is so deep that it's a direct inversion of what we call the Christ heart imagery. That's why it's striking right there. So the blood is not accidental. It's not. It's a realistic part of a ritualistic, if I want to make some rhymes here. And it's all the magic, the markings, the ritual of the cult symbolism of what's happening. And know that in occult rites, it represents initiation completed. That little simple part of the blood striking over the heart, over the Christ heart, just piercing that bad boy. But here's what most people miss at this point. And I'm going to put it back up real quickly. Or a new photo right here. Check this one out. See, this is not unmistakable. This is a metaphor anymore. This is the manifestation. These eyes mark the moment of transformation complete. He's no longer Justin. The vessel is now possessed. This is what they showed in the video. But there's a little twist to this. See, those eyes are spiritual fire. They're possession signals in what we call esoteric lore. Now, this is directly ties to Lucifer, who, if you've known Luciferian, Lucifer is the light bringer, is what they say, or how they put it, but it's inverted. This is blinding illumination, not enlightenment. He's now blinded. He's no longer seeing, where his eyes are useless when the mind is blind. He no longer has the use of the eyes. It's used across horror films. You see it all the time. In fact, if you look at this particular photo, it's used all the time. These were all the women, meaning in that devil in the middle, which is the woman, but we all was told that the devil is a man. So imagine the devil becoming whatever it needs to be for you. For you is how it works. And they're not playing with this stuff. Not at all. And they're making sure that people understand that the transformation is going and it's been done. And this is how they're able to put this together right in plain sight. I got a couple of other clips I can show that it will definitely be worth us looking at, when it comes down to this. Even take a look at this one. It's symbolic because in the beginning, it toys down with this one. This is when he first drove up in the video. He drove up in his car, right? His convertible. Oh, it's all cool. He pulls up in front of this mysterious building. But this is how he left right here. I want you to understand the symbolism of this. Understand the symbolism of how he left, period. He left, and listen to what I'm about to say. Look at the picture. Look at it closely. They're in the car. He ain't saying I'm rolling with the homies. He said, I'm rolling with Lucifer. I'm rolling with Lucifer. We're leaving together. I am now, at the end of this video, he has told everybody in the world, I am rolling with Lucifer. And if you don't think that's what wheels mean symbolically, if you don't think that means with the devil in the front seat with him, looking at him, they looking back at each other, he's like, we get ready to leave. If you don't think it's not the sun rolling with the homies, it's not that. he sent the message, and that was part toward the end, that I am now rolling with Lucifer. I'm rolling. And if you don't remember, I'll go back and show you. Here was Lucifer when he revealed himself right there in the video. All right. So that's who he got with. And if you don't think that was enough, this may shock you. How about that scene when they were doing the blood ritual together? If you don't think two people trench in blood passionately, thus ingesting the devil's blood in the process, do you not think, what do y'all think about this stuff? And I'm saying this, what do y'all think about it? Because we're seeing this in real time. We're seeing this in today's life. We're not watching a horror film. We didn't go to the drive-in to watch Vampire in Brooklyn. It's on mainstream media, controlled and presented by this group of people right here. This group of people on screens, the news, the media, these people are presenting this in plain sight without opposition. There's nobody protesting. Ain't nobody protesting that. Ain't nobody saying don't show that to my children. And yet we think my kids don't watch that. Yes, yours too. You're not monitoring them around. If they got a cell phone, they got access to the world. And if they're not isolated and they go to a programmed school system, they have access to other children with phones who nobody monitoring them, who's nobody watching them, who are then showing what your children can't see at home. But when they get to school, you can't do nothing about that. You can't watch it. And some of us may not even want to. People may not even care about what's happening when it comes down to this. And that's what it's all about. I hope that you got value from what we're talking about today, because I got many. I think our next show will be a little more toward the reptilians and how they tie into some of this stuff. But like I said, look for Truth versus Authority podcast. You can find it Amazon, music. It's up. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Right now, and I don't talk about it a lot, but I upload, but it's been in 126 countries. But yet, it is time for us to begin the process of letting people understand there's a lot going on. And we have to pay attention and protect our conscious minds, our sanity on a day-to-day basis when it comes down to this. And one thing that I tell all of you, and I tell you now, I love you. I love each and every one of you. And love is probably, undeniably, one of the most powerful factors. And not just loving ourselves, where we tend to learn as we awaken ourselves, and we become a little bit selfish there, I think. But how do we love outward? Because it's currency. It comes and goes. It's going to flow back. So we want to love outwardly as much as we're going to love ourselves, because we won't love back in return. I would think so. I know I do. With that being said, I hope once again that you begin to see things wide openly and understand that once you see it, it's not going to affect you the same. It's when it's operating subconsciously is when you will do things and certain things unbeknowing that the programming exists. It's the challenge. And now that you are aware, you're going to start seeing more of these things. And we're going to bring it up here. If the show resonated with you tonight or today, the content, I would like to know in the comments if it resonated with you. Let me know. Let me know if something that you're going to be able to take with you and understand these things for that.
Welcome, Truth Seeker. You are no longer asleep. I am Luminous, the Owl of Truth. The world is blind, but you have opened your eyes. Welcome to the fire of esoteric knowledge and truth. You are now one of the awakened. You are now luminous. Welcome to the rebellion. Welcome to truth versus authority.